The next story up is a very interesting one about birds. I'm not a birder. I don't normally talk about birds on the show. But last year, I had an opportunity, as I do a couple times each year, to go down and just sort of do a little once-over on the old GP site, see how plans are coming there, demolition of some of the buildings, some of the cleanup plans that are either just now starting up or will be starting up soon. And when I was down there, there was very clearly a big change in the number of inhabitants that we had at the old GP site. There were thousands and thousands of birds. The birds are Caspian Terns. And these terns had decided that the big wide open area that had been cleared where the sort of around where the logging pond is there, a lot of the area where they were doing staging for logs and some of the other byproducts that were used in the processes at the GP site, it had all been cleared off. It was all essentially fallow ground, but it's also, that area is one of the dirtiest parts of the GP site. But they were all hanging out there over the course of the spring and summer. They were having their hatchlings. It was an interesting sight to see. Very loud, lots and lots of birds all talking at the same time. But in the course of that walkthrough, I chatted with the folks from the port. Do you think that maybe it's possible that some of the folks in Bellingham who have decided that they don't want any redevelopment to go down at the waterfront unless it's sort of the next version of Stanley Park, that they might use the fact that these birds are hanging out here as yet another reason to try and kill off the project? And, oh, no, of course that's not going to happen. Everything's fine. We're moving forward. Yeah. So, in the last couple of days, I'm sure you've read in the Herald that, there's now a big push to save the terns, because the port has decided that they want to try and dissuade the terns from coming back for a second year. And so they've been talking about different ways that aren't going to harm the birds. And they're not going to try and scare the birds off. They're just going to try and maybe have them think twice about coming and spending the hatching season at the site again this year. Well, there is a very interesting set of comments that has come from a gentleman by the name of Dennis Paulson. And Dennis is the former director of the Slater Museum of Natural History at the University of Puget Sound and is one of the folks who is behind the Bird Note program on KPLU, which I'm guessing is a nice program for birders to check in about different things they're seeing around the Puget Sound area. And Dennis has said that he is very concerned. In fact, he says that the situation in Bellingham with the Caspian Tern colony breaks his heart, because he thinks the reason that there is an effort to try and get rid of them is because there is a salmon above all else policy in Washington state. And because Caspian terns eat salmonids, the little tiny salmon before they grow up into nice big salmon, that they are therefore unwanted pests, and they're going to be persecuted as they have been in other parts around the Puget Sound area. And so he's very concerned about this. He says that this is a protected species, and it's time that we all mount a strong protest against any efforts to try and hurt these poor birds. Now, I'm not going to argue with Mr. Paulson. He is obviously much more knowledgeable about birds in all respects than I am, but I think that when it comes to what's going on in Bellingham, I would put my knowledge up against Mr. Paulson's any day, and I can guarantee him that there is no effort here in Bellingham to try and scare off the terns because we're concerned about the salmon that the terns are eating. That may be a reason that some people would like to see the terns move on to other venues, but I think for the majority of people here in Bellingham, the reason that we're concerned about this is because we don't want this to be used as a way of killing this project off, and I think Mr. Paulson is being drug into this without really understanding this issue. So my proposal is that we stop calling it an issue with Caspian terns, and we would like them to go and find wherever they were living prior to last year, going back to those locales. My suggestion is that we try and do what we see both the Republicans and the Democrats do nationally, and they come up with these really horrible terms. You know, if you don't like health care, it's not health care reform, it's Obamacare. Well, so I've got a good way to be able to address this, and my suggestion is that we not call these Caspian terns, we call them squatter birds. These are squatter birds. They are birds who have squatted on our land. They were not here before. We really don't want them here now because we'd like to redevelop the land, and so they're squatters. And we just want them to, we don't want to kill them. We don't want to make them, extinct. We just want them to go back to wherever they were hanging out before they came last year. I don't think that's a big deal. So my proposal is from now on that one of the things with the Democrats and Republicans, they're very good about staying on message. When they come up with a term like Obamacare, they say that until, the issue goes away. So we've got to stay on message. And our message now is we don't want the squatter birds. We would like to help them go back to where they came from. We're not going to talk about the Caspian Terns and the fact that they might be harming the salmon. None of that anymore. Let's just all agree on this, and hopefully if we stay on message, we can get this issue number 800 that has been put together by the anti-redevelopment folks. We can get this one set aside and maybe someday actually build something at the waterfront site. Wouldn't that be nice?